I just did the thumbs up.
All right. Hello, everyone. And welcome to the third installment of Pangeas Playhouse. My name is Ellie Iverson, and I am so happy to be here with you. I'm the owner and event producer behind Edgy Experiences, and I will also be your MC for the evening today. We are so thrilled that you've joined us. This is going to be a very special, very interactive evening of art and performance. And before we get started, I wanted to introduce you to the chat box feature. If you haven't found that already, on the right side of your screen, it may be an icon at the bottom if you haven't opened it up yet. And I wanted to ask that anybody who wants to go ahead and comment in the chat box on where you're joining us from this evening, because I know we have a lot of different attendees from all over the place. So if you want to go ahead and put in the chat box where you're joining us from, I would love to see that and see what locations are coming in. Amazing. Okay, I'm seeing we've got New York City here, Oakland, Santa Barbara, Boston, Salt Lake City, Ventura, Santa Fe, San Francisco, Atascadero, Carpinteria, lots and lots of different places. All right, I see we've got some stuff going on with the screen sharing here. There we go. All right, Chicago. Amazing. So as you can see, we've got patrons and artists from all over the country, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to bring everyone together for this event. I feel very strongly that in times like this, art is an incredible healing tool, and the community that gathers around it is incredibly resilient and supportive. By being here tonight, you are a part of that community, and I hope you can look around using the gallery view if you can and see all of the wonderful different faces that are here in the community with you. All right, now on we go. Zoom, the application we're using for hosting this event, is not necessarily meant for theatrical performances, but has a lot of wonderful qualities that make it accessible and community focused. As you can see, we're not alone watching the video by ourselves, but rather experiencing a larger virtual performance together. That being said, there may be some hiccups, and we appreciate you understanding and being flexible as we navigate this new digital world. We ask that you do mics muted. Good timing there. So we do ask that you keep your mics muted so we can give full attention to our performers, but we encourage you to share your video screen so you can be included in the video visual audience. We also encourage you to use speaker view. So that's the button at the top right-hand corner of your screen. You can switch between gallery view and speaker view. This will work only if you're on a laptop or desktop computer, not an iPhone, but for those of you that are on laptops or desktops, you'll be able to switch between whoever is performing and then seeing the whole group together. So that's really fun as well. There will be moments in the middle and the end where we will ask for audience participation in applauding our performers, but we'll let you know when that is and adjust the mics accordingly. If you would like to share positive comments with the community, we highly encourage you to use the chat box feature. So some folks already started using it as we were getting ready to open up. Definitely use that to cheer on the performers tonight and to chat with one another. If you're having technical difficulties, I encourage you to message Amy, our tech support goddess, directly. And so you should see that she's on here and she's got tech support in her name. So she's an easy one for you to find if you're having any issues. If this style of viewing isn't working for you for any reason or you need to end it early, we will be sending up a follow-up email to all artists and attendees with the recorded show so you can view it whenever you want outside of this. All right, on to the show itself. To begin, this experience would not exist without the support and encouragement of everyone who donated to the playlist itself. Many of the names for tonight were featured in the opening slideshow, and the impressive showing of attendees who have generously supported the artists performing tonight with their ticket purchases. We, last I checked, had about 80 attendees. I see right now we've got 53 participants in this Zoom call, so that is not a bad showing for a virtual event during a pandemic. So thank you everybody who is joining us tonight. As a reminder, we have 8 performers that will perform for approximately 10-minute intervals, and we will take a brief intermission at 9 p.m. After the show, we invite you to get up and stretch your legs for a short dance party with the rest of the Playhouse community and live music by DJ Fru. Now that the logistics are taken care of, I'd be more than happy to introduce you to our first performer. Our first performer is Sean O'Brien, who is a self-taught artist, designer, maker with a passion for creating objects and art that bring a smile to the face of others. His most recent work has focused on exploring and fabricating a variety of drawing machines, with his 2-wheel and 4-wheel pintographs currently absorbing the bulk of his creative focus and attention. The pintograph is a drawing machine where different motors work together, rotating at different speeds to drive a pen or drawing instrument. The artist controls all of these motor settings as well as when and where to stop and start the drawing. The result is an incredibly diverse range of possible outcomes, some chaotic and messy, some harmonious and mesmerizing. Drawings take anywhere from several minutes to many hours to draw, all resulting in something that can be mathematically derived. Each drawing is a one-of-a-kind piece that cannot be predicted as it is not defined by software or a program, but simply the ratios and starting parameters that define that particular piece. So before we invite Sean on, I just wanted to say this is an incredible opportunity to kick things off where we get to have a talk with an artist, and then during the show, we're actually gonna have some of the art running so we can check in on it as we go. And if you have any questions for Sean, feel free to go ahead and put those in the comment section, and we'll see if we can get to them at the end of his time. So Sean, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here, Ellie. I'm so excited about this. This is just a treat, such a unique experience to be a part of. You know, it's, first of all, cheers to everybody here. Thanks for being here. This is so exciting. Cheers to everybody. You know, it's funny, I wrote in the chat, we just came from Brew House here in Santa Barbara tonight, and it was the first restaurant we'd been out to since, you know, in 3 months. And that was the place in the very beginning we wanted to go. And the takeaway moment, the surprising takeaway moment wasn't the food, it wasn't the beer, even though they're very high on the list. The takeaway moment was how familiar and gratifying the smell of a bar bathroom was. No joke. I was like, this is really nice. I miss this smell. So yeah, I'll jump right in. So I'm Sean O'Brien. These are my drawing machines. I have designed and fabricated these 2 machines here, as Ellie kind of described in the intro. They're driven by motors that are connected to a pen that is drawing. So this one here you see is currently drawing live right now. And this one here will get going later, and we'll do it kind of like a cooking show where it's already kind of set up, ready to go, and hopefully good things come out. But these machines, they're really fascinating to me. I find them entrancing. I start one each night and set it in motion, and I think I'm going to go do other things, but I just sit in my chair and watch them 90% of the time, not able to be pulled away from them. They're so hypnotic to me. It's something that really draws me in. A lot of people ask me if there's any software involved. I know zero about software and coding, zero. So these are actually all just driven by these motors here, and I control the speed and direction of the motors on each of the drawing machines. So this is my two-wheel drive machine, and I call it that because it has two wheels up here that are driving a pen on the drawing platform that also can turn. And over here I have my four-wheel drive Pantograph, which has four wheels here connected to a pen drawing on the drawing platform. It's a lot like a musical instrument where it takes a lot of practice to start to get in the neighborhood of things that are, at least that I find aesthetically appealing. A lot of chaos was the first round of exploration here in terms of the drawings. So as I get used to them more and more, I'm able to find different areas. I can get close to places I've been before. I record the settings roughly. They're all relative settings. They're not absolute. I don't have a number for every motor setting. So I can get in the neighborhood of things, but I can also never reproduce something, and I never know fully what's going to come out. So that's always really exciting. I think what I'd love to do is kind of bring you into this machine here, the two-wheel drive, and set a drawing in motion there that'll draw for the show tonight, and we'll check in later on how that drawing turns out. What I would love to show but won't work here is how I set a drawing up. Oddly, it's mostly about sound for me when I set these up. So these motors, as I bring you in closer, you might be able to start to hear the sounds of some of the motors if I stop talking. So I'm not sure if you can hear that, how it comes over the Zoom, but these motors have a different sound to them. And oftentimes I'm finding interesting things based on the harmonics of the motors. And so if I were to sit here and try and tune a new drawing, you'd watch me for about 5 or 10 minutes honing in on something that I thought looked interesting and sounded interesting. But I'll spare you that. And this one's kind of already preset in an outcome that I think will be kind of fun. This was from our yesterday dress rehearsal experiment. We'll have something different today. So I attached these two arms up here using these magnets up on the plate. That's how I can move it back and forth. And then we're going to set it in motion and kind of drop the pen like a needle on the record. Hey, a mosquito. All right. So here we go. And thus begins a drawing. And, you know, these drawings can take anywhere from 35, 45 minutes to, on the four-wheel drive, a lot of times I'll run a drawing for as long as 18, 20 hours, something like that. So it really depends. And so in the end, the art piece that I want depends on when I want to stop the drawing itself. So we'll set this up in motion. I'll pull the camera back in case there were any questions that might have popped up or that people might have. And if not, that's totally fine. I'll bring the camera back in here, and this will just be monitoring this drawing for the duration of the show.
All right, Sean, it did look like we had one question come in so far. And
Yeah.
the question was from Danielle, and it was, do you find that the quality of the pen is critical for the to make sure it's fine and full of ink?
That's a good question. The quality matters, and I love pens, and I love really good pens that do a good job for this application. So yeah, the pen absolutely matters. It's really what makes or breaks it, to be honest, because some of these drawings will go hundreds, if not thousands, 1,000 or so meters long, depending on which machine it's running on, and that pen needs to last. I'll do some drawings that will use all the ink in one entire pen in a drawing. So the quality matters for sure.
Amazing. And is there, I see some of the art, we briefly saw the one that you did last night. Can you show some of the pictures of some of the art that's been done? This?
I'd love to. So this is off the four-wheel drive machine. I really enjoyed this piece, and it's like finding something in nature you want to find your way back to, but you don't know how to get there. I've come close, but I just can't get back to it. It's really, each one's one of a kind. Here's, let me see, got up here. That's probably, there we go. This is one of my favorites here, also off the 4-wheel drive.
Wow.
Everything is just so different. So yeah, I do put these drawings up for sale on my website, SeanO'BrienDesigns.com. And I'm also really, really honored and excited. We have a new museum opening up here in Santa Barbara this summer. Marco Pinter, very talented artist, creator, organizer, curator, good friend of mine. He's opening up a museum called the Museum of Sensory and Movement Experiences, which will be opening up in the La Cumbre Shopping Center for those in the Santa Barbara area who are familiar. And I'm really excited because I'll be featured as one of the opening artists, and I'll actually have the 4-wheel drive drawing machine out there in the front window running for the first month or so of that.
Great.
So I'm really excited about that.
Sean, we have gotten a few other questions in, so just going through a couple of them right now.
Yes.
Find that the different machines have different personalities. If you didn't run the machines yourself, would you be able to tell which machine created it?
For sure. The 4-wheel drive can have things like you saw here with this image that are very symmetrical, but it can get really crazy and twisted. This 2-wheel drive machine, it's a little more tame, and I can see that difference. And also in running them, this one likes to run a lot slower to get good outputs, even though it can run as fast as this one, and this one actually prefers to run a little faster. So they definitely have quite different personalities.
Nice. And how long have you been making these drawings, and how did you discover it?
These are the product of about the last year and a half or so, maybe 2 years now of thinking and exploring and iterating. My very first drawing machine lives up there in that bundle. It's actually a harmonograph, which is driven by pendulums, and I made that as a elementary classroom teacher, and we were exploring pendulum motion, and I saw this. I was like, that's fascinating. And these come from the Victorian era. Actually, they were kind of entertainment pieces in the late 1800s, and that's what really got me hooked, the fact that I could create something that is aesthetically pleasing, that is creating really beautiful art that at least I find beautiful, and that I can't truly predict but have some control over the outcome. So.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Sean. I see that there are a few more questions, but I'm hoping you can follow up with them just so we can
Sure.
the show on the road. But thank you for joining us and for kicking off the show. And we'll check back in to see what happens with this piece of art as we go.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Ellie.
Okay, so on to our second performer. And again, thank you, Sean, for doing that. And we look forward to seeing the rest of your art throughout the show. We have Teca here. Teca is a native of Londrina, Brazil. She's a vocalist, guitarist, and arranger. She's mastered the traditions of Brazilian music at an early age, and along the way became equally entranced by American jazz. As her artistry grew, her talented singing and guitar playing fused the sensual rhythms and harmonies of Brazil with the of jazz, a fascinating blend of music she calls nu bossa. After graduating in music education from Sao Paulo University, Teca studied at Boston's Berklee College of Music. She has been featured as a soloist with the Long Beach Symphony Orchestra, the San Luis Obispo Symphony Orchestra, and the Glendale Pops Orchestra. She performs regularly at international jazz festivals and at some of Los Angeles, Boston, New York, and Europe's best-known jazz venues. She has released 3 CDs, Garden Planet, Watercolors of Brazil, and So Many Stars, and they have all received high praise from critics and audiences. A word from a critic, Teca has a summer evening breeze quality to her voice always. She is as smooth as bossa nova can be, and that is very smooth indeed. So Teca, thank you so much for joining. Come to the stage.
Hello, everyone. Oops, can you hear me there?
Yes, there you go.
Okay, all right. Hey, very nice to be here with all of you. Thank you for having me. Anyway, I'm a musician who was born during the height of the richest music era in Brazilian music. That unique mixture of American jazz and native samba, which is called bossa nova. So I hope I can give you a taste, and you can enjoy a taste of both cultures in the music I will play. So the first one is called Só Danço Samba by Antonio Carlos Jobim, and it means I only dance the samba. Só dança samba, vai, 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 vai. Só dança samba, vai. Só dança samba, vai, 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 vai. Só dança samba, vai. Já dancei o twist, já tá demais. Mas não sei, me cansei do calypso, tchá, tchá, tchá. Só danço samba, vai, 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 vai. Só danço samba, vai. The jazz and samba, here and all around. The jazz and samba sound. The jazz and samba, swinging sweet and low. The jazz and samba go. Jack from Rio is straight from USA. This sound came around and it's here, that is here to stay. The jazz and samba, here and all around. The jazz and samba, 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 jazz and samba sound. All right, so that was Só Danço Samba. I'm going to do another one, and this is called Summer Samba, Samba de Verão, by Marcos Valle. Was recorded by many people. So here goes. Someone to hold me tight, that would be very nice. Someone to love me right, would be very nice. Someone to understand each little dream in me. Someone to take my hand, to be a team with me. So nice, life would be so nice, if one day I find someone who would take my hand and samba through life with me. Someone to cling to me, stay with me right or wrong. Someone to sing to me, send me a sunny song. Someone to take my heart, give his heart to me. Someone who's ready to give love a start with me. assim e passou, nem parou, mas olhou só pra mim. Se voltar, vou outra vez, vou pedir, vou falar, vou dizer que o amor foi feitinho pra tá. Olha, é como o verão, quente o coração, e salta de repente para ver a menina que vem. Ela tem, sempre tem esse mal no olhar, e vai ver, tem que ser. Nunca tem quem amar hoje sim, diz que sim. Já cansei de esperar, nem parei nem dormi, só pensando em lhe dar peço, mas você não vem, vem. E deixa então falar só de você, mas você não vem. Should it be you and me? I could see it would be nice. Should it be you and me? I could see it would be nice. Nice. Alright, I have one more song for you guys. It's a little strange to play in my daughter's room, but I'm enjoying. I hope you are too. Anyway, this is the next song, and my last song is called Common Ground, and it's by one American and one Brazilian composer. The American, Paul Winter, the Brazilian, Ivan Lins, and the song is called Common Ground. Voices are calling round the earth, music is rising in the sea. The spirit of morning fills the air, guiding my journey home. Where is the path beyond the forest? Where is the song I always knew? I remember it's just around the bend. In the village, the music never ends. In a circle of sounds, in a circle of friends, our voices will blend when we touch common ground. In a circle of friends, in a circle of sounds, our voices will bring when we touch common ground, common ground, common ground. Voices are calling round the earth, music is rising in the sea. The spirit of morning fills the air, guiding my journey home. Where is the path beyond the forest? Where is the song I always knew? I remember it's just around the bend. In the village, the music never ends. In a circle of sounds, in a circle of friends, our voices will blend when we touch common ground. In a circle of friends, in a circle of sounds, our voices will blend when we touch common ground, common ground, common ground.
Thank you, Tekka, so much. What a true honor and delight to have you with us. Now, I just want to make sure if people want to find your music outside of this, we'll include something in the email recap, but how can they find you if you can just comment on that?
Newbossa.com. Newbossa.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again for that wonderful performance. That was really beautiful. Okay, so we are moving right along, and thank you again, everybody, for joining. It looks like we've got just about 60 participants on this Zoom call tonight, and it's pretty phenomenal for an art experience to be happening over Zoom with this many people. So thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to introduce you to our next performer, and part of what we like to do with Pangeas Playhouse is represent a very diverse group of artists. And so this time around, we have a writer joining us, Stephanie Quinn Westfall. Stephanie has been a writer, teacher, and editor for over 20 years. She holds a teaching credential in English from UC Berkeley and an MFA in fiction from Antioch University, Los Angeles. While she was at Antioch, the faculty nominated a chapter from her novel in progress to AWP's annual competition for the discovery and publication of the best new works by MFA students. As an independent editor, Stephanie works with novelists, nonfiction writers, and memoirists. She also leads weekly writing groups. She is currently working on Annals of Betrayal, a novel about the unexpected gifts from late-in-life treachery and divorce. So we're very excited to have Stephanie on with us. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad that you're all here. Thank you, Ellie and Amy, your assistant, for setting this up. So as Ellie said, I'm going to read a chapter from Annals of Betrayal. And Kathleen, who's the first person narrator, her husband of 25 years left her recently, and she lives in Ojai. So this chapter is called Adele in My Purse. A year after my husband moved away, I'm shopping in Westridge Midtown, the pumped up name for the local market that recently changed owners and is going for a hipper, wealthier vibe. The whole downtown of Ojai is 4 or 5 blocks long at most, but still, Westridge Midtown it is. Of course, they called their store in the valley's east end Westridge, so clearly they've got some issues with geography. I'm making a quick run to get the essentials, you know, ice cream, gin, cat litter. What more could an almost single woman in her late 50s need for an evening of fun at home? When I walk in the store, I see her. There she is in the frozen food aisle, his mistress. Now that I've gotten some more information, mistress might be too grand a term. Instead, maybe I should call her the tart that he had a few quick shags with in various alluringly naughty places. The shabby office above the cat hospital we'd rented when we had the photography studio. The hideous lime green Honda Element the employees at that photography studio called the Kiwi. Some patch of broken stony ground in one of the town's ubiquitous orange orchards, and our bed too, no doubt, when I was off at a 10-day stint in LA for the low residency MFA program I was in. Yeah, her, that woman. Faye's turned away from me. She's dressed in sloppy clothes and unflattering sandals, her brown hair long and shaggy, hanging halfway down her back. To my eyes, she looks slovenly, but she never did it for me. I never got the allure. She is young, or younger than I am. She doesn't turn around, but I don't need her to for me to remember her wide face and freckled nose, her glittering, empathy-free eyes. She's dressed as if she doesn't have to try too hard, unlike me. Was that what was so irresistibly appealing to my husband? He once told me I was too well-groomed for him. I narrow my eyes. I suppose she would be attractive to some men. To me, she just looks negligible. But I could be prejudiced. It's, always a possibility. It's not like I hate her frickin' guts or anything. I breeze past her. I'm into breezing past her whenever I see her in this tiny town. My body language is loose. I'm not upset. I head down a different aisle. I grab what I need. I'm here with a purpose. I'm in, I'm out. Just like him. When I round the corner from one of the handful of aisles in this little store that takes itself too seriously, I see there's only one cashier, one line. I stop for a second. Really? Do I have to stand in the same line with her? Isn't it enough that I already had to share her frickin' DNA before I'd realized they'd been at it like demented bunnies? I considered putting my items back and leaving. Or maybe I could just act like a scofflaw and drop them on the floor of the frozen food aisle and bolt. Nah, damn her. I live here too. I'm not gonna run away. I'm not gonna let her, pardon me, make me feel small or desperate just because she's here. Or at least I'm not gonna let on that she makes me feel that way. I get in the line, hoping that I'll be gone long before Faye gets what she came for. A man comes to stand behind me. Thank God. Maybe I'll escape in time. Then out of the corner of my eye, I see her heading toward my way. I can hear her come to stand behind the guy. Damn. I start chatting up the man in front of me. I'll show her that I'm doing just fine, thank you. I am not devastated by my husband's betrayal. Really, I barely remember it. One line for all these people, I offer to the guy in front of me. Let her see how I can sling the repartee like nobody's business. I normally don't strike up conversations with people in line. He smiles. Yeah, drag, huh? I can feel her behind me. My items move along the conveyor belt, my needs bumping along in their inglorious beauty. I turn to the young cashier. Yeah, hey, what's up with this weather? She gives me a startled look. My exuberance and adoption of the tone of a lifelong friend perplexes her. Yeah, it's pretty hot, she says, moving my cat litter and gin down the line. Do you want a bag? It's 10 cents. Oh, yes, thank you. The guy in front of me says something else and smiles at me. I can't really make out what he said. I'm half deaf, but I will not ask him to repeat himself. You got that right, I smile. I might have just agreed to fricassee my neighbor and share a bottle of Chianti with this stranger, but there's no way in hell I'm gonna let him or Faye know that I have no idea what he said. He gives me a rather surprised look. Maybe I was a little too emphatic. Maybe he asked what time it was and I answered with my inexplicably hearty non sequitur. I turn back to the cashier. I can feel it all going wrong, like I'm a bad actor in a play where I don't know the lines. Now I just want to pay and get out. Not quite the impression I'd been going for, but that's okay. I take my change, grab my grocery bag, and walk out of the store. I saunter over to my car. I do not rush. I do not skulk. When I slip into the quiet of my car, I sit in the driver's seat for a minute. I'm shaking, even though I know it's stupid. I always feel as if I've done something wrong when I see her, as if I'm the one who should be ashamed, as if my husband's bad behavior and her complicity says something horrible about me. That's when I hear it. Adele, singing. What? I haven't even turned on the car yet. I look around and realize the sound is coming from deep in my purse. Adele is crooning from inside my black, capacious handbag, one from my former well-to-do life. Oh my God, I pull out my iPhone. Somehow iTunes stayed on when I unplugged my phone from the car radio and went into the market. I flash back on the line in the grocery store. That means it was playing the whole time I was chatting in my I'm so together routine for that woman's benefit. Oh my God, how humiliating. Oh my God, how ludicrous. There I'd been, blithely talking as if I were a woman who had everything under control. Not the kind of barely rubber banded together woman who doesn't know that her purse is crooning songs of broken hearts because she's too frickin' deaf to hear it. It's so pathetic, I have to laugh. I think of the man and the cashier's startled looks. I realize I have to reinterpret my performance. I must have seemed like a frickin' loon, and a suspiciously cheerful frickin' loon at that, busted by my iPhone. I stared down at the offending rectangle in my hand, the way our little machines give us away, tattling on us like the most gossip-hungry people we know. Our machines snitch about the sites we click on, the things we buy, the songs we listen to, blaring out a cacophony of embarrassing messages about what used to be our hidden selves, our private world of likes and desires. As I sit in my car, I want to explain myself to Faye. I want to say, listen, you hideous, destructive woman. I don't listen to Adele. Well, okay, actually I do, but I don't listen to her that often, and I certainly don't listen to her in the car with the music turned up really loud, crying when she sings, Don't You Remember? So you can just get that image out of your mind. It didn't happen. I just like to have her sing quietly in my purse from time to time, okay? I think it adds a little je ne sais quoi to every interaction. Okay, yes, once in a while I have sung along with her, but it's been like a year, really. I'm not a falling apart soul, not anymore at least. So don't take what you think you saw as evidence and make it some illustration of how you and my errant husband have devastated me. And just so you know, I also listen to Tupac in my purse. Adele keeps singing. I plug her into the car radio again, turn on the AC, and let her voice soar free of the constraints of my purse. I am a loud, emotional woman. I feel things deeply. Maybe it's time to maybe it's time to stop apologizing. Maybe it's time to stop feeling guilty because I've been hurt. I call a girlfriend with a good sense of the absurd, and we become hysterical across the iPhone bandwidth, using the phone as it was intended to be used and not as a portable band in my pocketbook. She, a former opera singer, launches into a full-on rendition of Don't You Remember, and I chime in at the refrain. Then we both dissolve into laughter. I pull into the driveway at my former family home and sit in the darkened car, laughing with my friend who lives hours away and is always close to my heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. That was so brilliant. And before I transition here, I just want to ask if people want to read more of your work or just find out more about what you're doing, where can they find you?
Probably right now, the best place would be LinkedIn for my editing work, Quinn Westfall Editorial Services. And I'll put any links on there for other articles and published things. But thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, let's give a huge round of applause in the comment section and visually for Stephanie. That was so wonderful and such a beautiful performance, and also something very unique. We don't, in this day and age, get to hear an author read their own work, and so we're very, very lucky to have that. And I don't know about anybody here, but I am listening to a lot of embarrassing music very loud right now because it's the day and age we live in. So I applaud you for that, Stephanie. Thanks for joining. On to our fourth and, I should say, final performance for the first half of Pangeas Playhouse. We will be taking an intermission after this and then coming back for 4 more performances. And we are very lucky to have everybody here, but I'm very excited to welcome Greg to the stage. Greg Garcia is a singer-songwriter and writer living in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Through his songs and his stories, he addresses concepts such as existential panic and psychosis. He studied music therapy at Berklee College of Music. I should say we have 3 alumnus from Berklee College of Music tonight, so we're very lucky to have that, and has worked in both hospice and as a teacher in a rural mountain village in Japan for this past few period of time. He has published a science fiction novel and a book of short stories available on Amazon, and we are very lucky to have him here. So Greg, let's go ahead and welcome you to the stage.
Hi, everyone. My songs are kind of long, so I'm kind of just going to jump into them. This first one's called All We'll See in Time, but I wanted to say thanks for letting me be a part of this, and it's really nice to be part of this with all these really great artists. Breaking all of my bones, finding out I've been wrong. Deaf, remember, dream of a song, belly up in the palm, the empty words of the songs. I should have better known how long their chains had grown. Fake apple clutch in my bone. Don't trust enough in knowing that feeling at the corners before. Now put me into the world and see how quickly it falls. The generation is flawed and the machine has stalled. Will you burn me with the sun? Will you beat me like a nun? Will you shoot me if I run away? Feed the books that make me dumb, bend my teeth and bubble young. Will you rape me with your tongue? Yeah, yeah. Left everything you know to find the temple of the eye. Oh, and I worship with the most, and be the father who was blind. I submit the other wall, and if so, did it die? Oh, and a smile as he spoke. All we'll see in time. losing time. This next song's called Just Sue. Friend of mine, you're growing horns like mine. I think they're fine. To want to change. Be careful now not to let your horns be chains. I'll tell you now the only way I'm knowing how. Having horns ain't a picnic in the shower. Mr. Sims keep making games like this. I think they're fine and damn fun to play. When did life itself become your game? I'll ask you now the only way I'm knowing how. Is the game over if I shut off all the power? Oh, how can I know if the lights all burn out inside? I got a knife, maybe it's time to rip up in the skin, see what's there within. And if the blood is black, I know there ain't no coming back. No. Lady night, queen of the black and white, you look so fine. And my sweetest sin, kiss me now, let me shelter in your skin. I love you now the only way I know it how. But giving you would have been yours anyhow. Thanks a bunch.
That was so beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, definitely go ahead and give a round of applause for Greg in the comment section. And before we transition out, I just wanted to ask, knowing that you have so many talents, Greg, and one of the things is writing, where can people find your work and what else are you working on right now?
Oh yeah, so you can actually find this book I wrote called Gaia Book 1 Genesis on Amazon. You can find it there, and there's also a book of short stories that I wrote up there too. So I'm currently working on book 2, but that's all I've got right now. Up there for viewing.
Well, thank you for sharing. And just so everybody knows, we'll be sure to go ahead and put all of this in the follow-up recap email so you can find that information. But thank you again, Greg. That music was really, really perfect. So Great job with that. All right. So before we head off to our intermission break, I have two things I want to do. One, I want to check in with Sean and see if we might be able to see how the artwork's going. Sean, are you able to turn on your camera? Let's see. All right. We may get to see that momentarily. There we go.
There it is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So this is exciting. This is progressing really cool. I'm actually pretty excited how this one's going. Thanks for checking in.
Cool. Well, we will keep checking in, and I'm loving the shape that's happening right now, and especially that purple pen. I think that's an epic color. Okay, cool. So
this has been such a treat listening to everybody. So wonderful.
sick. Okay, so guys, this is where we have a little bit more interactivity for the entire group. So if you don't have your camera on, I really recommend that you go ahead and turn it on. And we're going to go into gallery view. So that's where you can see everyone that's joining us this evening. And we've got about 55 participants with us tonight. So you can see that we've got a lot of folks from all over the place. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and unmute you so you can say hello to the people in the chat and in the gallery next to you. And this is very loud and very chaotic, and Zoom doesn't know which voice to pick up, so it's a bit of a roulette, but it's a fun way to just see that we're not alone and that we're in this together. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Again, it's going to be loud, but it's a fun way to say hello to everybody around you. So we'll try this for a little bit.
Hey, world. Good, Nick. Thinking of you. Hey.
Amazing. That was great. Okay, that was really fun. I think that was the best we've gotten so far. So that was very impressive. Again, I'm so happy to have everybody here with us tonight, and we're going to take a short intermission break. So it's just going to be about 5 minutes. So if you need to use the restroom, the lines aren't very long at this theater. You hopefully have toilet paper. No promises from the theater though on that side. And definitely get some concession stand items. At this point, you don't need to tip the bartender. So enjoy your intermission, and then we will be back momentarily in about 5 minutes to continue the show. So thanks everybody for joining. Going at it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you had a minute to go ahead and take care of whatever you needed to take care of, stretch your legs, get something else to drink. We recognize that it is hard to be on the computer screen for long extended periods of time, and a lot of people are doing that a lot right now. So I hope that this is enjoyable to you, that you're comfortable, you don't feel like you need to be a part of the meeting in any regard, because that's not what this is about. This is about being a part of a community and sharing art and music together. So thank you again for joining. In case you missed it in the beginning, my name is Ellie. I'm the event producer and owner behind Edgy Experiences. And part of what we do is make, we make immersive events in unique locations. And right now, all of our events are online. And so you might have seen a taster in the intermission there for some of the events that we're doing. We host virtual cocktail workshops every Sunday afternoon. We have new events coming up, like virtual Vogue workshops. We are doing a 100 Hoop fundraiser. I saw that Caitlin and Eric had asked about that. That's actually a project that we're just about to launch with a past participant of Pangeas Playhouse. And so all of this information will be included in the follow-up email, and you can find more information on these events through Edgy Experiences, either via the website or social media, to get more information there. So thank you for joining and watching that and listening and tuning in. We are very excited to introduce our next round of performers, starting with the incredibly talented Gavin Orr. So Gavin is a native of the Bay Area and loves to explore and enjoys all forms of music. He recently competed in the European Choir Games and won 3rd overall. He loves to unify people under the art of sound and plans to minor in music when he goes to college. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring Gavin to the stage. Gavin, thanks for joining us.
Okay, hello. So my first piece is gonna be from the musical Brigadoon, and this is almost like being in love. So let me get my note, and we'll be off. Maybe the sun gave me the power, for I could swim Loch Lomond and be home in half an hour. Maybe the air gave me the drive, 'cause I'm all aglow and alive. What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in. Why, it's almost like being in love. There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Why, it's almost like being in love. All the music and life seems to be like a bell that is ringing for me. And from the way that I feel when the bell starts to peal, I could swear I was falling. I could swear I was falling. It's almost like being in love. So that was that. And then I have one more, and this is going to be the parting glass. And for people who don't know what it is, this was a Swedish piece that would be sung when visitors would leave from like a household or whatever. So let me grab my note, and then we'll be off. Of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and of the harm
that e'er I done. Alas, it was to none but me, and all I've done for want of wit to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they are sorry for my going away, and all of the sweethearts that e'er I had, they wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and I'll softly call. Good night and joy be with you all. A man may drink, but not be drunk. A man may fight, but not be slain. A man may court a pretty girl, and perhaps be welcomed back again. But since it has so ordered be that I should rise and you should fall, come fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Good night and joy be with you all.
Gavin, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your voice with us. And please feel free to applaud and share comments in the group chat. Now, before we move on, Gavin, I have one quick question for you. Having choir being so important to you, how are you doing that while in quarantine? Are you guys getting on Zoom calls together?
Actually, yes. With questionable success, but just being together and being able to sing and just have each other to bond with has been really powerful and just has really gotten me through much of this quarantine.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I'm very glad that you're able to join us tonight. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay. Moving on, we've got 3 more phenomenal performers tonight. We've already been through 5, if you can believe it. Or I should say we've got 3 more performances, 4 more performers. There we go. Anyways, I'm very excited to introduce Ashley next. Ashley Kohler-Reynolds currently dances for 2 local professional contemporary dance companies, Nebula Dance Lab under the direction of Devin Duex, and Selah Dance Collective under the direction of Meredith Cabanis. She has been working with both companies since 2016. Aside from her love of performing, Ashley also has a great passion for dance instruction. She has been on staff at the Los Olivos Dance Gallery under the direction of Maggie Messiquet for 13 years. She also teaches jazz, contemporary, and hip hop for ages 4 and up. She teaches in public schools around the San Ynez Valley with Arts Outreach, a nonprofit organization that brings art into classrooms and the community. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and bring Ashley to the stage. Ashley, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. Now, I know we've got the music queued up and ready for you, so we'll go into the performance without further ado, and then we'll do a little Q&A at the end. So here we go.
You know the story of the Russian cosmonaut? So he goes up in this big spaceship, and he's got this portal window, and he's looking out of it, and he sees the curvature of the earth for the first time. And then all of a sudden, this strange ticking begins coming out of the dashboard.
Okay, yeah.
But he can't find it. He can't stop it. It keeps going. A few hours into this, begins to feel like torture. What's he gonna do? He's up in space. So Cosmonaut decides the only way to save his sanity is to fall in love with this sound.
Broken glass. Enough so I can leave.
Wake up your sleepy head, put on some clothes, shake up your bed. Put another love on the fire for me. I made some breakfast and coffee. Look out my window, what do I see? A crack in the sky and a hand reaching down to me. All the nightmares came today, and it looks as though they're here to stay. What are we coming to? No room for me, no fun for you. I think about a world to come, where the books were found by the golden ones, written in name, written in all by a puzzle man who questioned what we were here for. All the strangers came today, and it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, you pretty things, don't you know you're driving your robbers insane? Oh, you pretty things, don't you know you're driving your robbers insane? Let me make it plain, gotta make way for the over superior. Look out at your children, see their faces in golden rays. Don't kid yourself, they belong to you. They're the start of the coming race. The author's a bitch, we finished our news. Homo sapiens have outgrown their use. All the strangers came today, and it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, you pretty things, don't you know you're driving your robbers insane? Oh, you pretty things, don't you know you're driving your robbers insane? Let me make it plain, gotta make way for the Homo superior.
Woohoo! Ashley, that was fantastic.
Thank you.
I want to give you a moment to catch your breath, because that was a lot of movement, and everybody was so impressed by how much you were moving there. But I do want to just recognize that, wow, being a dancer is so hard right now, and just navigating where you can dance, where you can't dance. And I just wanted to kind of get a little bit of your insight on that, and what you could share with the community about kind of just what it's like being a dancer right now.
Yeah, it's different for sure. I was kind of thinking about this, thinking about it a lot, but dance is such a community thing, and there's such a bond between dancers and artists, and the way we fill the space together, and how we feel the space together, and how we perform, and all the things that we share. But dance is also something that, at least what I do, doesn't require a lot of fancy equipment or anything. So really we can dance together anywhere at any time. And I think that's something that's kind of special about dance, is that really all you need is yourself. It's more fun when you have a sprung marley floor, but really you can do it anywhere. So it's different for sure, but we still are together as a community with that we still can dance, and we can dance with each other and for each other. And so I think that's definitely really a special thing. Even though it's different learning experience, it still can happen in some capacity. So
definitely. Well, that's great. And thank you for sharing it with us. We appreciate that so much, and it definitely contributed to the Playhouse tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. So we are in our final leg here, and I'm so excited. We've got our final performers who have been patiently waiting to come on and share their performances with you. I do want to say this is a huge production that we do collectively to make this happen on a virtual stage, and it's been really great getting to know all of these different artists, and we have new artists come in for every playhouse, but to go through dress rehearsal and to chat on the phone and to see what works for everybody is definitely community building in and of itself. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be sending links so you can follow up with all of these artists. And I've heard that some of the artists that have been featured are already collaborating with each other and doing different things together. So it's really exciting for me to see that and to see how this is how it's organically growing, and I'm really happy about that. All right, so without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce the incredible Nick Hoffman to the stage. Nick has played with members of the Wrecking Crew, stormed the West Coast with a non-hit single. Among his many musical endeavors, he was part of the creation of the Two-Day Sheiks, the Forbidden Blues Band, and Donate, who have never played in the elite venues of Cuba or Spain. In 1985, he released the first Brian Jones model guitar, and we are so privileged to have him join the stage today. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ellie, and the crew at Edgy Productions for creating this venue. It's awesome. I've loved the performances so far, and I'm just amazed that my previous artist wasn't out of breath after her performance. She's very calm, and the whole thing's beautiful. I'm going to start off tonight playing a little blues, and it's going to be called Follow Me, Baby. Follow me, baby, I'll turn your money green. Oh yeah, my mom's gonna follow me, baby, I'll turn your little old money green. Rockefellers ever seen. I've been up and down the river, one end to the other end. I've been up and down the river, from end to end. And I ain't found no heaven anywhere out there. I'm back on home to me, Lucille. I went to the depot, I looked up at the bowl. What'd it say? I went down to the depot, I looked up at the bowl. Said there's good times here, better on down that road. And we got the big boss, man. I wonder who that could be. Coming right up here. Big boss man. Can't you hear me when I call? Big boss man. Or can't you hear me when I call? He ain't so big. Oh, that's all. It's so big, matter of fact, your cop's small. Boss man, working night and day. I want a little breath of air, but you take it away, big boss man. It was our fault. Ain't so big, just a hole, that's all. So as my final offering tonight, and again, thanks to Edgy Productions. Love you guys, and I want us to work together. Come on, people, let's get on the phone. Let's work together. Let's work together. Because together we can stand every forward movement. Make someone smile. Let's get together and make life worthwhile. Let's work doesn't matter in this life if I'm just with together. Together. Because together we'll stand and we won't go on. Thank you.
Fantastic, Nick. That was great. Thank you for sharing that with us tonight.
It's my pleasure, for sure.
Amazing. So I did have two quick questions with you before we go to our next performers. One, I've gotten a few comments in the group chat. What is the significance of the eye on your wall?
Well, this is Brian Jones, who's backing me up here. And I just call this Brian's eye. And it's like, here's looking at you, kid.
Perfect. And then my second question was, I know that in addition to being an incredibly talented musician, you also build guitars. Is that correct?
Here's one of them.
So cool. And where can people find the guitars or find more information about what you're building?
There's a website called nickhoffmanguitars.com, all one word. And just go on the website and see a big assortment of videos, guitars, and other info.
Amazing. Well, we'll be sure to include that in the recap email. And thank you again, Nick, for your performance. That was out of this world.
Thank you so much for this presentation, Ellie. Awesome.
Very cool. All right, guys, we are just getting ready for our final performance of the evening. And just as a reminder, we've got that. We're going to welcome all of our performers back on stage for a big applause afterwards. And then if you feel like you need to move around a little bit, we will be having a short after party right after that where you can join, and we'll have music playing. And if whoever wants to stay can stay on to dance around and to enjoy the community. So without further ado, our final performer for Pangeas Playhouse evening number 3, we have Caitlin Carano and her partner, Eric Bosser, who are local aerialists and performance artists from the studio Elevated Dreams. They have been lucky enough to be able to spend their time in quarantine training together in the aerial arts. They have found that being accountability partners have not only motivated them to continue keeping up their craft, but has strengthened their friendship as they hold space for each other through all the ups and downs that pandemic stirs in our lives. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight them. Here we go. All right. Hi, Caitlin.
Hello.
All right. We will go ahead and kick off, and then we will chat with you afterwards. Sounds good?
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm not supposed to love you, but I do. I do. I'm not supposed to love you, but I do. Too much. I'm not supposed to love you, but I do. I do. I'm not
love you. Oh, I do.
Wow.
Woo!
That was so beautiful and so powerful. Thank you so, so much for sharing that with us and for concluding our show tonight. You guys were really, really fantastic.
Shredded it.
All right. So we are about to wrap things up, but I just want to say thank you, Caitlin and Eric, for being our final performers for this evening. And how lucky are we that you get to practice and perform together still? And it was a huge, huge success. So thank you for joining us. Before we go on to the final thing, Caitlin and Eric, are you guys virtual shows, or what's in the near future for the two of you?
Good question.
More of this.
Yeah, more training till life is more open to doing gatherings and things where performing arts are more acceptable. So maybe one of these again before anything in person.
Well, we'll definitely make sure and share your link so people can follow along and see what you're doing in quarantine and beyond. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Ellie.
Okay, everyone, this is just about to conclude our third installment of Pangeas Playhouse. Again, I'm Ellie Iverson with Edgy Experiences, and we create immersive events in unique locations. Right now, those locations are in your home studios, your home living rooms, your home tents, wherever you may be stationed right now. As long as there's Wi-Fi, we'll be here and doing events that you can join in on. I do want to say a huge thank you before we have all of our performers come back on stage to the Edgy team, DJ Fru and Amy, who have been helping behind the scenes to make sure everything goes smoothly. So they've been instrumental and a huge, huge part of this. So thank you to them. And I'd like to ask all the performers if you can stand up or bow from whatever space you're in, and I'm gonna unmute everyone so that you can go ahead and applaud all of the performers. So again, if you can go into gallery view, turn your videos on, and we will do a group applause for all of the performers. Here we go.
Very good. Bravo. Bravo.
Incredible. Bravo, Nick.
Amazing. Thank you.
Bravo, Nick.
Amazing. Okay, so before we finish everything, I do want to check in with Sean and see where we finally are at with the artwork and get a view of that.
All right, here we go. We're gonna stop this here. This piece is going to be called Pangeas Playhouse.
Wow.
It ran the complete duration of our show here.
That's so cool.
There's a close-up, and you asked if they have personalities. I haven't seen one quite like this. This one decided to show up and bring its A game tonight, so I'm really excited about it.
It's really awesome.
I love it. And you can go ahead and find more of Sean's art at Sean O'Brien Designs. You can see that's in his title there. And I'm going to wrap things up for this evening. Thank you again for joining. I'll be sending more information about upcoming events. And in the meantime, we'll hand it off to DJ Fru to get this party going for a Zoom dance party. So thanks again for joining, everybody, and have a good night.
Oh.
Yeah.